for the public policy makers, and this only shows you, if you look at this graph quickly, it shows you that there's a, first of all, big difference between Chile and Finland in terms of how equitable the resources are allocated. Chile is here, so it means that you have a question or issue here, how do you allocate your resources? And if you ask my opinion, I think that it's very, for me, morally problematic to accept the idea that you can use public money, public tax money, for private companies to make profit out of it. That's my view. Somebody coming from Finland, I think it indicates that there's an issue how the resources are allocated. In Finland, Finland has the highest equity in terms of how resources are allocated. So what we are doing in my country is that we give more money to those who really need it. We may have a rural school with a less opportunity to do other things, we give more money for them. Or we may have an urban school with a lot of immigrants, special needs kids and others, they get more money to do the job that they're supposed to do. Not the other way around. In many countries it goes exactly the other way around. And that's why we have this issue. This is another one, this is from my own book Finnish lessons, just to give you an idea how income inequality here in the horizontal line and the quality of learning, this vertical axis, how they are correlated. No causal relationship. But this indicates that when the inequality in the nation gets worse, and Chile here is extreme in this way. If you use the Gini here, you can use other things as well, compared to Finland. But this also indicates that when the inequality gets worse in the country, it becomes probably more difficult to maintain higher quality learning outcomes. Okay? Just to see how different our two countries are. So, these are now coming to the end of my message here. This I already mentioned this. How do the public policies in Finland and many other countries, all those high-performing countries, South Korea, Japan, Estonia, Finland, Canada, we all have the same type of thing. That we have universal, or more or less universal childcare for everybody. Not in all the countries, but in most of them. Child health and well-being, special needs, fair funding of schools, and then the whole child approach. So that we are not measuring and prioritizing or focusing on math and reading and science only. It's looking at the whole child as a whole. So these are my lessons for you to think about. Again, you can take them in your pocket, think about them, or you can throw them away. But this is what I have to offer. First of all, I think that what this country needs in education reform, more than you have right now, is to make sure that you have an inspiring vision and dream that is commonly shared by most people, not everybody, but most people. People understand what it is. Yesterday I was in a Congress about Pasi, and this was my question. I had politicians there and their advisors, a room full of people. I said, so what is your vision? Do you have a clear vision and dream here? And all of them said no. They all had their own idea where this country should go. But nobody was saying that Chile's dream is this is the way we should be doing it. It's very difficult to fix your school system if you don't have this type of common idea where you want to go. So that's why this is a difficult thing to do. But all these successful countries in the world, all of them, way in heaven, all of them have done their own work in this way. Every country has their own dream or vision. Secondly, I think you need to take the advice that the OECD has been saying now for a couple of years or 3 years already to all the education public policy makers around the world, is that we need to invest more heavily on equity, particularly making sure that we have the disadvantaged schools and communities are taken care of by resourcing them. Again, this is something that most of these high-performing, successful education systems have done. Not all of them, but many of them. Definitely Finland and Canada and Singapore as well, to invest in equity, make sure that we have an equity program within our public policies and that we are resourcing those programs properly. Third one is the advanced professionalism. And I know that the teacher issue here in Chile is going to be on the table this spring. Okay? And that's something that the question there is that what does it take to make teachers and school principals feel like they're professionals? And enhance their professional self-esteem to the point that they would say that I feel I'm doing my work in a similar way as a lawyer, a doctor, engineer, or architect, or somebody else in another field. Okay? And it's not only about upgrading the training to master's degrees, something like this. It's also about the working conditions. Fourthly, I think what I would do if I was one of you here, I would probably think harder about the public awareness. How do you make sure that the public knows, for example, about these things that we have been talking about, that the public knows what equity is, and that the public knows how equity and quality are connected, and how that the public would know that there are education systems around the world where teachers and schools have been very successful with the socially mixed heterogeneous classes. Because what I heard here this week in Chile is exactly the opposite. Many people seem to think that if my son goes to the school where there are children from farmers' homes or lower social class homes, that they somehow couldn't learn there. And all of these successful education systems prove the other way around. And the OECD is there. And then finally, I think we need to move to the evidence-based reforms. If this was 20 years ago, I would be much speculating about these things. This would be all speculation, politics. But now what I'm telling you here is more about data, research, and what has worked and happened in other countries. So that's why I think, not only in Chile, but in many other countries, in other countries, we need to move away from politics-based evidence, evidence-based policies, public policies. We know so much more now than we did 10 years ago, 15 years ago, how to build successful education systems. And finally, remember, it's important to learn languages. Somebody told me the other day this week that earlier in Chile, in the past, it was very common that people were studying French, Latin, other languages. Everybody was speaking, but not anymore. There are more and more kids now here, young people who don't study foreign languages, or they may study but they don't learn these things. And this is my last thing for you. Let's take a look what happens if you don't know language. Now you can take your ears to this off, because you have to listen to this in the original, so there will be no translation. Now, take a look at this.
Das hier ist das wichtigste Gerät, das wissen möchte. Das Gerät, das Überlebensradar.
Hello? This is the German Coast Guard.
We're sinking.
What are you thinking about?
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, and good luck.